Why do some couples go to the gym? Because they want their relationship to work out. Today, I'm going to recap a 2013 action thriller film called Snitch. A quick warning, there will be major spoilers ahead. An 18-year-old boy named Jason is video calling his friend who sells him drugs. His friend asks him if he can receive the drugs at his home. He agrees without a question. His father, John Matthews, is the owner of a construction company. After work that day, John goes to his car to go home, but there he sees a guy named Daniel, who is loading up sacks of cement. He feels like he should help him, so he helps Daniel load sacks of cement, which Daniel really appreciates. Back at home, Jason receives a courier. He opens it to find that it is a bag full of drugs and a camera. With the presence of a camera, he figures out that the police got him, and this was all they're doing, so he runs away on the spot. The police run after him and eventually capture him. Meanwhile, John is at a party and receives a call from his ex-wife, Sylvie Collins. She tells him that their son, Jason, is being charged for distribution of narcotics. John quickly goes to the police station and meets his ex-wife, and then meets his lawyer. His lawyer, Jay Price, tells him that Jason is not actually a dealer, but his friend set him up in a sting operation to reduce his own sentence after being caught. Jason's charges carry a minimum of 10 years in prison. Jay tells them that John and Sylvie should talk with Jason and convince him to catch more drug dealers. John feels responsible because he was not there for his son and becomes desperate as he realizes that Jason may be killed before he finishes his prison sentence. John tells Jay that Jason was just a normal boy. It was his friends who got him in this mess. Jay tells him that it does not matter now because he was caught with a lot of drugs, and now the best option he has is to help the police catch more dealers to reduce his prison sentence. Jason is quickly presented in court. The judge moves Jason's date forward, but sends him to jail in the meantime. John, his ex-wife Sylvie, and their lawyer Jay all sit with Jason, and they try to explain to him his options. They try to convince him to catch more drug dealers, so he can reduce his jail time. But Jason tells them that he does not know any big smugglers. The drug dealers he knows are just small-time punks who do it only for fun. And if he gives up their names, then their lives would become miserable and ruined just like his. He walks out of the room. John becomes more worried now, and day after day, he starts drowning in stress. Using his connections, John arranges several meetings with the local U.S. Attorney Joanne Keaton. He tells her everything about his son's situation because she is running a very aggressive anti-drug campaign to bolster her chances for election to Congress. She refuses to help him because Jason had a lot of drugs on him. He leaves her office and goes to prison to see Jason. He sees Jason and finds bruises and cuts on his face because he got beat up in the prison and his physical condition looks bad. Jason gets emotional upon meeting his dad and tells him that he reminisces about the time when he was a little boy and used to spend all his time with him. He starts crying and says that he does not think he will survive his time in prison for 10 years because he will get beaten up again and again. As a father, this breaks John. When he gets home, he still keeps thinking about this. He takes a trip to dangerous streets where drugs are sold and bought. He plans to capture some drug dealers on his own and hand them over to the police. But as soon as he tries to approach them, they understand his intention by his body language, so they all beat him up very badly. The police arrive right on time, and they rescue John. Meanwhile, U.S. Attorney Joanne Keaton finds out about John's whereabouts and asks him what he thinks he is doing. She tells him that even if he was able to capture someone and bring them in, it still would not help him with his son's situation. John desperately asks her if there is any way to help reduce his son's prison sentence. She tells him that there is only way through which he can save his son. She tells him that he has to capture a big smuggler who has at least 1 kilogram of drugs. Then they might be able to help Jason. The smuggler has to be notoriously big, and it might sound easy, but it is not that easy to catch a big drug lord or a drug smuggling kingpin red-handed. John tells her that he will take care of it because there are a lot of workers in his construction company who used to be junkies and ex-cons, and some of them might be able to help him. Joanne agrees to reduce Jason's sentence if John can inform on a drug dealer, but states that he'll receive little help from her and that the risk will be all his. Agent Cooper, leads a task force which will monitor any dealings John arranges to use as evidence for an arrest. John searches through his employee records and finds an employee on his payroll with 2 former distribution convictions. Daniel James is currently leading a clean life to avoid a 3rd strike, as he now has a wife and young son to care for. John finds Daniel while he is going home from work and offers him a ride. They both go to a cafe and talk business. John tells Daniel that he is trying to start a drug-related business, and he wants Daniel to introduce him to a big drug-dealing client so he can join their ranks. Upon hearing this, Daniel gets worried because he thought John was an honest, hard-working man. Daniel tells him that he is trying very hard to eliminate every kind of drug-related aspect from his life because he has already been to prison twice and wants a fresh start, so he can't help him. John offers him $5,000 to introduce him to a big smuggler. Daniel still refuses and tells him that he does not want to visit prison for the 3rd time. John offers him $20,000 and tells him that this is his last offer to simply introduce him to a dealer. Daniel still walks away but later agrees so that he can move to a safer apartment for his son, though he is unaware that John is acting as an informant. Daniel introduces John to Malik, an extremely dangerous, high-ranking local drug dealer who, like Daniel, has 2 strikes. Explaining that his business cannot stay afloat in the current economy. Without a supplement to its revenues, John offers to run nearly limitless amounts of drugs at almost 0 risk in his freight trucks. Due to being a legitimate business, the trucks avoid suspicion and carry too much freight to be thoroughly searched. Malik agrees under the condition that John and Daniel drive the initial run themselves. John and Agent Cooper arrange for several wiretaps to be put in place to catch the transactions involved. John drives to the pickup point near the Mexican border. In the process, a rival gang ambushes the pickup, but John manages a daring escape, impressing cartel kingpin Juan Carlos Pinera, whose cartel successfully fights off the ambushers. John successfully completes his end of the deal, delivering the drugs to Malik while under surveillance by Agent Cooper. Malik mentions a meeting with cartel members higher than himself. Agent Cooper, hoping to catch the higher priority targets, refuses to arrest Malik during the deal. Keegan claims Cooper did the right thing and refuses to reduce Jason's sentence unless John cooperates in a second meeting. John, outraged, agrees only if Jason is released when the job is completed, rather than just a reduction in sentence. Around this time, Daniel finds out about the arrangement John made with the police and is furious, saying that the cartel will kill John, Daniel, and their families if the truth comes out. Both of them send their families into hiding. John meets with Juan Carlos Pinera under very high cartel security. Pinera wants John to run nearly $100 million in drug profits into Mexico, back to the cartel base of operations, and offers to make him a member of the cartel's inner circle if he succeeds. He reports this back to Keegan and Cooper. Keegan is ecstatic due to finding such a big target, but Cooper has a change of heart and tries to talk John out of doing the run, as he suspects the cartel will kill him afterwards. John devises a plan to free himself and Daniel from both the government and the cartel. During the run, John is able to escape Cooper's surveillance. At the same time, Daniel raids Malik's house, killing Malik's guards and wounding Malik. Before dying, Malik reveals Pinera's cell phone number to Daniel. John calls Cooper and has him track both his new cell phone and Pinera's phone, effectively giving Cooper both the money and the kingpin at once. The cartel realizes that John is an informant. After a highway chase and a shootout, John escapes. Pinera is also captured. He is unwilling to get into a shootout with the police as his young son is with him. Jason is released the next day. John and his family go into the witness protection program. Daniel refuses to go into the program, saying he and his family will go into hiding on their own. As Daniel has lost his job, John leaves Daniel the large reward check that John was supposed to receive for the capture of Pinera. As per statistics, certain first-time, non-violent drug offenders receive longer prison sentences on average than those convicted of rape or manslaughter. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy, hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. You should watch the full movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more video like this.